Imagine stepping back, way back in time, and then rocketing forward to the absolute cutting edge of science. All just to ask one, well, massive question. What is reality actually made of?
It's fundamental, isn't it?
Exactly. From ancient thinkers finding cosmic harmony in numbers to quantum fields and, get this, even the surprising material nature of software. We're about to take a truly mind-bending journey today.
It covers a lot of ground.
It really does. This deep dive, it's all about exploring existence itself, what matter truly means, and how our understanding has just constantly evolved over millennia.
We're aiming to connect some dots, right, between foundational Greek philosophy and what people are talking about now in physics, consciousness, even maths.
That's the plan. Our mission, to uncover some hopefully surprising insights and give you a shortcut to being pretty well informed on this huge, fascinating topic.
And we've got some great sources to help us.
We do. First, excerpts from CompletePythagoras.pdf. It gives this amazing window into the life and teachings of Pythagoras and his followers.
Really brings that ancient world to life.
Totally. And then we have contemporary materialism. It's ontology and epistemology. Let's just call it the core book.
Sounds good. Much easier.
It gives this broad, modern overview of materialism from its historical roots right up to today's, well, scientific and philosophical takes.
So a real contrast between the ancient and the modern perspectives.
Definitely. So get ready for some, I hope, genuine aha moments. We'll unpack how these seemingly separate worlds actually converge, reveal some questions about the universe that just won't go away, and hopefully have a bit of fun too. Okay. Let's unpack this.
Let's start at the beginning then. Pythagoras.
Right. Our journey kicks off in the ancient world with this figure who's almost as much myth as man, Pythagoras. The stories are just legendary.
You mean like being the son of Apollo?
Exactly. Born inside and apparently with a prophecy saying he'd surpass everyone in wisdom. It's almost like the universe itself, had big plans for him.
It sets quite a stage. But what's striking is how that myth, or maybe the reality behind it, led to a genuinely revolutionary thinker. He didn't just stay put. He traveled, ending up in Crotona, Italy, specifically looking for the most scholarly minds.
And he didn't just find them. He built this incredible community. We hear about the Cenobites, maybe 600 followers who shared everything, possessions, philosophical ideas.
A real commune dedicated to thought.
And then the hearers, even bigger, like 2,000 people, supposedly captivated by just one speech. They formed this huge auditorium, almost like a city called Greater Greece. It sounds intense.
Absolutely. And central to all this was this search for order. Pythagoras is famously credited with applying the name cosmos to the universe.
Meaning order and like adornment or beauty, right?
Precisely. He saw the universe as this ordered, beautiful whole. And it said he was the first to claim the earth was round, though, fair warning, other sources attribute that elsewhere, but this one gives him the credit.
Still, pretty forward-thinking for the time. And this connects to maybe his most famous idea, the link between music and math.
Ah, yes. The harmony of the spheres idea, essentially. He found that harmonious musical intervals corresponded to simple numerical ratios.
It's like he found the universe's secret code, the math behind an octachord, defining the scales, diatonic, chromatic, and harmonic.
It's a profound insight, because it shows he believed numbers weren't just for, well, counting. They represented the fundamental incorporeal forms and principles of reality itself.
So, number one wasn't just one.
For Pythagoras, it embodied unity, identity, equality, even friendship and sympathy, the very principles holding the universe together. It was this radical attempt to grasp reality through abstract universal laws, not just physical stuff.
But it wasn't all just abstract thinking, was it? Their lifestyle was incredibly disciplined, ascetic even.
Very much so. They avoided eating animal food, which they linked to promoting peace. They practiced, get this, years of perfect silence sometimes.
Weird.
Minimal sleep, a cultivated indifference to fame or money. It was serious dedication to self-mastery.
And this idea of friendship was key too, wasn't it? Universal friendship.
A cornerstone, definitely. Extending, in their view, from God to humans, between the soul and body, person to person, even to animals through justice.
That story about Damon and Phintius, that really drives it home.
Oh, absolutely. Damon volunteering to take Phintius's place for execution. It supposedly astonished the tyrant Dionysus so much, he wanted to be their friend too. It shows the incredible power of that commitment to shared principles.
What I find wild, though, is the secrecy.
The esoteric element. Their teachings were strictly guarded, apparently revealing certain things like the theory of incommensurable numbers or how to build a dodecahedron to the unworthy could mean expulsion.
Or worse, the source mentions rumors of, like, death at sea. Makes you wonder what knowledge might have been lost, right?
It does. They also use these practical, almost cryptic sayings, hortatory maxims or symbols.
Right, pass not over a balance.
Exactly, meaning shun avarice or be just.
Yeah.
Or poke not the fire with a sword, don't provoke angry people, eat not the heart, don't burden yourself with sorrow. They were like memorable life guides.
It all fits this picture of an ordered life, mirroring their idea of an ordered cosmos. Even family had its place. Parents seen as images of the gods, having children as a duty.
The family is a system focused on unanimity, harmony.
Yeah.
It all ties back to that core idea of order.
So, okay, from this really deep quest for numerical, cosmic, and even social order, we start seeing a shift, don't we? A move away from purely mythological explanations.
Yes, the core book talks about this as a major transition in Ionian philosophy from mythos to logos, though it adds the nuance that there's often logos or reason within the myths too.
Right, it wasn't a clean break maybe, but a definite shift towards seeking impersonal mechanisms within the world, not just gods pulling strings.
This is such a critical pivot point. Instead of explaining, say, thunder is Zeus being angry, thinkers started looking for inherent principles. Thales is a key example.
The water guy, right?
That's him. Credited with one of the first non-mythological explanations.
Yeah.
Proposing water as the fundamental substance everything came from. Why? Because he saw it change states: solid, liquid, gas, even fire or plasma, perhaps.
So just observing nature, seeing an inherent element at work, no magic needed.
Exactly. And Anaximander took it, you could say, a step further. He argued the cosmos wasn't eternal nor made from nothing, but an organization of some original undefined stuff. He's also credited with using cosmos in that philosophical sense, and even making the first Greek world map.
Seeing the universe as an ordered whole driven by its own rules.
Precisely. And then you get thinkers really grappling with what that underlying principle is. Heraclitus, for instance, with his idea of ever-living fire.
Not literal fire, though.
No, more like an impersonal principle of constant change, flux, opposition. That was the source of everything, the universal logos. His use of God was probably more poetic, referring to this dynamic principle, not a human-like deity.
That's such a contrast to traditional beliefs. And Xenophanes really hammered that point home, didn't he? Directly critiquing traditional religion.
He did. He pointed out, quite cleverly, how people tend to imagine gods in their own image, with human traits, human flaws, even looking like them.
Right, the Ethiopians imagining snub-nosed, dark gods, while the Thracians picture blue-eyed, red-haired ones. It really highlights that human tendency to project ourselves onto the divine.
Which then leads to this massive philosophical problem. If reality isn't run by whimsical gods, and if maybe everything is constantly changing like Heraclitus thought, what's truly real? What's permanent?
Enter Parmenides.
Exactly, with an incredibly radical, almost stark argument. What is, what is not, is not. And crucially, what is cannot come from what is not.
Which led him to conclude, what?
That change itself is impossible. That the world we see, the world of our senses, is basically an illusion. True reality for Parmenides had to be absolutely unchanging, whole, complete, eternal. He flat out denied the possibility of nothingness.
Whoa. That's a huge leap. It feels so counterintuitive given everything we experience.
It absolutely is, and it sets up one of philosophy's longest-running debates. How do we square our experience of a changing world with this idea of a deeper, possibly static reality?
Okay, so let's fast forward quite a bit. How does contemporary thought, especially materialism, look back on all this?
Well, the core book makes it clear that modern materialism isn't just that simple old idea of everything is just tiny bits of physical stuff. It actually critiques that kind of reductionist physicalism as maybe, well, impoverishing reality.
So it's more nuanced.
Much more. It aims for a richer, more pluralistic understanding of what material actually includes. It even tries to move beyond the old physicalism versus spiritualism debate, finding points of convergence with thinkers you might not expect, like Plato or Aquinas.
Interesting. So not just drawing hard lines.
Right. And a key concept here is systemic materialism. The idea focuses on systems.
Okay, define system in this context.
Basically, a complex object where all the parts are related. Think of a living organism, an atom, a galaxy. You have basic substances making up things, and systems are complex things with interacting parts.
Got it. And the crucial idea here is?
Emergence. This is really important. Systems produce new properties and powers that simply don't exist in their individual components.
Okay, wait. How is that different from, say, supervenience? where a higher property just depends on lower ones?
Good question. Emergence means something genuinely new arises from the interaction. It's not just dependent, it's novel. The book uses the example of pine trees helping seedlings survive. That ability emerges from the interplay of macro-level spatial relations, meso-level physical integrity, micro-level photosynthesis. None of the parts alone has that property.
Ah, I see. The whole is truly more than the sum of its parts, and it can do new things.
Exactly. And these material systems, they change lawfully. The core book is firm. Magical, unlawful events are not real. Laws aren't external rules imposed on things. They are inherent restrictions within the things themselves, part of their nature.
Okay, inherent patterns. Now, quantum mechanics. This always feels like where things get weird.
Yeah, it's often described that way. But the core book insists, look, it's strange to our intuition, maybe, but it's objectively real. Quantum systems, their environments, that's what physics refers to.
And the whole particle thing gets complicated, right?
Very. Quantum field theory basically says what we think of as particles aren't really fundamental self-contained little balls. They're more like excitations or features of underlying quantum fields.
So the fields are the real stuff.
That's the idea. The
Yeah.
fields spread across space-time are the true ontological substrate. Take away the fields and there's nothing left. Particles are just ripples on those fields, in a manner of speaking.
And speaking of space-time, that's material too, not just an empty container.
According to this view, yes. Think about gravitational waves, perturbations traveling through space-time. That shows it has physical properties. Its curvature isn't just abstract math. It's a physical thing that can exert forces, transfer energy. Space-time itself is an active player.
Wow, okay, so this materialist view really stretches to cover things we might think of as non-material, like the mind.
Exactly. The book talks about psychobiosystemism. It argues the mind isn't some separate ghostly thing. It's defined as the collection of specific functions or processes happening in the plastic, adaptable parts of an animal's nervous system, what it terms psychons.
So mental activity is just what these psychons and systems of psychons do.
Pretty much. And it's completely dependent on the biological and evolutionary context. No brain, no mind.
Okay, what about software, algorithms? That feels really abstract, just code.
Right, but think about how it works. The core book sees algorithms as a mix of language, the instructions, and electronic states. They're instructions for manipulating physical signals, like bits, the binary states of transistors.
Ah, so the secret is that blend of language and the physical state of the electronics.
That's how they put it. It makes software tangible material in a specific way.
Even mathematics gets this treatment.
Yeah, it's interesting. It points out that doing math involves physically manipulating symbols, writing numbers, drawing lines, circles, these ideograms. Mathematical objects, like, say, a Klein bottle, are defined by these physical signs and the rules for using them, not just existing in some abstract heaven.
So the act of manipulating 3 to the power of 7 versus 3 to the power of 12, that physical change on paper or screen is part of what gives it meaning. Exactly.
It shows the primacy of the material plane, as they call it, even in mathematical practice.
Okay, so we've spanned a huge range here, from Pythagoras' numbers and cosmos through early impersonal principles to quantum fields and the materiality of code. But there's still big philosophical questions left, right?
Oh, absolutely. Modern materialism still has to grapple with how different kinds or genera of matter relate. Physical, chemical, biological, social, even abstract concepts.
That ontological arrow from the quark to the jaguar, it's not straightforward.
Not at all. It implies there are probably intermediate levels or magnitudes of material organization we don't fully understand yet. This leads to the idea of discontinuous materialism.
Meaning?
It acknowledges that there are real breaks or discontinuities between these levels. Biology has properties that physics alone doesn't explain. Even though biology depends on physics, there are irreducible properties at different levels.
But it's still all one reality.
Yes, that's the emphasis, the unicity of the world.
Yeah.
But it has these structural asymmetries.
Yeah.
Like political systems absolutely depend on biological, chemical, and physical realities underneath them. But the reverse isn't true. Gamma rays don't imply the existence of political systems.
There are layers, each built on the last, but with their own unique features.
Precisely. And this leads to really deep questions about meaning and value.
Does the universe have inherent meaning or value?
The core book suggests no. Absolute reality in itself is described as valueless and meaningless, much like it's colorless or tasteless. Values, sense, meaning these aren't inherent features of the universe.
So where do they come from?
They arise from us, from life. The world we actually experience is described as anthropic or zootropic. It's objectively real, sure, but many of its properties are perceived or even constituted by the scales relevant to humans or animals.
Like the wetness of water is relative to something experiencing it.
Kind of like that. And there's what it calls reality's muzzle. Physical laws put limits on what's possible or meaningful for us. You can't make a table out of liquid water, for example. Reality constrains meaning.
And this also means accepting the limits of our knowledge.
Exactly. Differentiating between what we just don't know yet, ignoramus, and what might be fundamentally unknowable, ignorabimus.
So wrapping this all up, what does this journey mean for you, the listener? We've gone from ancient legends in Samos to quantum paradoxes and the surprising physicality of the digital world.
And through it all, we've seen this consistent human drive, haven't we? This need to find order, whether it's in numbers like Pythagoras or in impersonal principles or in the emergent properties of complex systems that modern science explores.
We've looked at this idea of an inclusive materialism, one that finds a place for the mind, for concepts, but always anchors them back to physical, chemical, biological reality. Recognizing things like technology as real superphysical phenomena, even though they depend on matter.
It's a broad picture.
It really is.
Right.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Pythagoras saw the cosmos as this beautifully ordered universe. Modern materialism explores the deep, lawful changes constantly happening within that universe. As our tools, our technology, let us simulate and manipulate these fundamental material realities in ways the ancients could barely dream of. What new kinds of order or even meaning might we discover or create? How does our growing power to build complex virtual realities using software, this stuff the core book argues is ultimately material, how does that reshape our own understanding of what counts as truly real in the grand scheme of things?